Hey guys, Mike and Dean here with Dean Speed Customs, and we got a dyno.
Yes.
Okay, so when you get a dyno, basically you want to find out what everything's got. So today we're going to walk around and find out the baseline on all of our bikes. So we're going to be starting off with the smallest bikes, the biggest bikes, your Harleys, your Indians, and basically just find around what everything's got here and just see what we got. We're going to start out with this guy here. So it's a 1988 Sportster 883. It's going to be the smallest bike here. We're going to start small and work our way up and then see what we got. Okay, so we got the 1988 883. This thing is bone stock, and so we're just gonna see what it's got. So, what do you think that this kind of thing's gonna pull?
I think it's going to make 50-50.
I think you're insane.
Well,
I think it's gonna be maybe like 30 horsepower.
I believe in Harley. You know that? I'll say that generously. I believe in Harley.
A tad bit too much.
We'll see.
So this one don't want to read, so it's not picking up any of the timing. We tried it on both the signals for the coil, tried it on both plug wires. For some reason, the dyno is just not picking up it. It might be too weak of a spark for it to pick up because it is bone stock 1988 hardware. So this one we're gonna have to just assume it makes nothing.
It makes nothing.
Zero
It
power.
makes 50.
No, it makes like 30.
It makes like 50.
It makes like nothing. This thing is gutless, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So let's try the next one.
Fair enough. We did a lot of work to this bike. I was thinking we'd get like, I'm hoping that it would, what we hope for and what we get are always two different things,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I was hoping to be around like 75, 70 with this, with
Okay.
all the work we've done here, Dean Speed, from coding to all the add-ons we did. We put the 1275 hammer kit in it. Obviously,
Yeah.
Sheenan helped us do that. You know what I mean? So shout out to Sheenan.
Live Fast Cycles over in Tempe.
Yeah, great guy. Does great work. So after all of that, we didn't put cams in it, which
Okay.
he recommended.
So performance adders, what we got on this one is we have a 1275 kit from Hammer,
Yeah.
and then we have basically a reworked factory carb, added an additional jet, but that's it. So this is just a little bit over a stock 1200, so it's a little bit hopped up 1275, like miles.
Right.
So
It's a nice 1200.
where we at?
I'm going to go with what I was hoping for.
75?
I really hope we got like in the 70s. I'll say
All
that.
right. I'm gonna say we're lucky if we get mid 60s.
Okay.
So because it is just still 1200, there's no cams, there's no head work done to it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go crazy. So we did 3 pulls on this guy right here. So we did a first one, which is we didn't run it all the way to the red line. The second 2, we ran it out till it hit the rev limiter. So where are we at power wise? Right here. So
What do we get?
all right. So peak power, you're at about. Let's change this guy right here. Yeah, you're about 63, 64 horsepower.
Okay.
And then torque-wise, we are at 60, 67, 68. Yeah.
All right.
Take that about 68 horsepower at about 4,000 RPMs. So it's a hot little Sportster. It's not bad. So that's something that you get out of like a twin cam.
Yeah.
So, but with way less weight. This thing moves pretty well.
I'm not really upset with that. We're a little bit under, and I think if I was to put like an Andrews cam in there,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? We probably get that closer to, definitely in the 70s, hopefully to the 80s, you think?
Yeah,
The cam?
some Buell heads and some cams. This thing will be a screamer.
Okay.
So, well, we'll see what we bring over for next.
Classic old man, Willie G.
Okay, so this is a 2000 Harley Twin. So this is the first of the twin cams. 88 cubic inch, a little bit bigger than your 1275. I think it comes out to like 1300 cc's or something like that, or 1400.
1340.
1340.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's not much bigger, but it is a little better headwork, better cam. So we're gonna find out what this guy gets. Okay, so this one's about to get loud as fuck. This is 2-inch straight pipe, no baffles, nothing, just as loud as you can get. And then for power wise, that's it, straight pipes, and then a Mikuni flat slide. So what are you thinking?
A little bit better than the gold bike, so I'm thinking, again, 70s, 78, 75.
I'm gonna say 65, 72.
I feel like I'm just overshooting here a little bit.
A little bit. You got too much faith in Harley. Like
I don't have too much faith.
I love faith. I love my
Come
Harley,
on.
but like, let's be realistic.
I am.
So
I'm faithful.
let's break some hearts.
All right.
Okay, so it sounds like it's going like hell. It's a loud son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Definitely the loudest with the straight pipes. So what would you guess at?
Again, I was hoping to build the Sportster up to around this, so I was thinking, 70s, somewhere in there.
Okay, so now it's about 65, 75, so 65 horsepower, 75 torque. Like I said, all it's got is a Mikuni flat slide and open pipes.
Yeah.
So let's see where we're at here. It's a pretty decent torque curve. It's got a little bit of a lull here, but it's pretty linear. And then where are we at? Okay, so horsepower on our best run, we are at
Numbers right there.
yeah, about 75 horsepower and about 75, 76 torque. You're about 75, 75 is right where you were thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was really hoping to build the Sportster up to something this size, a little bit lighter frame,
Yeah.
maybe, power to weight kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great for this thing.
Yeah, so they're rated at like 62 horsepower stock. So it's actually, with just a carb and some pipes, you picked up over 10 horsepower. That's not bad.
That's
especially
really
if something weighs
good.
like 600 pounds.
Yeah, and you're going to do that work to your bike no matter what, right?
Straight up. Like
Yep,
it's just
so that's a
right
great
on.
add-on.
Cool. Let's take the next one up. .22 Chief. All we've done so far on this one is a high flow intake from Indian, a stage 2 flash, and some Dean Speed slip-ons.
Okay.
So you've ridden this thing. What are you thinking?
I'm going to go a little more specific because I've ridden this bike quite a few times. I'm thinking 88 horsepower and 90 torque.
So this thing, okay, so I'm going to be a little bit different from this one because this thing pulls like a sumbitch right off the line,
Right.
but it falls on its face towards the top because it just doesn't pull the same on the top end. So I'm thinking this thing is probably all torque, no horsepower.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess probably about 85 torque
Okay.
and like 75 horsepower.
So a little under what I'm guessing. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm always the one that's like guessing a little higher.
Yeah, so this is a 111 stock cams, stock exhaust. Like I said, just slip-ons, intake, and
But
it's got a stage
slide two,
Yeah,
right?
it's got an Indian flash. Which,
Okay.
eh,
That's not much. Well, it didn't sound as hefty as Pop's bike did.
No. So things to consider is this one has the cat in the head pipes, and it is the factory exhaust still. Also, it's 22 years newer.
Right, okay.
So
I mean, don't get me wrong, sounds good, all of that. I still think I'm right. I still think we hit the 80s.
okay. So where are you at again on that?
I was like 85 horsepower and like 90 torque, I believe is what I said.
Okay. So let's see where we're at here. All right. So torque. If you look at the graph here, it is all right off the line. It is monster torque. So where are we at here? So we got 97 foot-pounds of torque,
Jeez.
and then it makes it all at 3,000 RPMs. Like
Okay.
it's like torque right off the line. And then for power, we are at about 62 horsepower. So
What?
monster torque right off the line, but falls on its face. And then we were only getting
60?
62 horsepower to the wheel.
That's heartbreaking.
A little bit.
I'm
But
not gonna lie. Dude, like it has to be like at least in the 70s. Like, come on, Indian, we gotta do better than that.
yeah.
I expect a little more out of them than that. I'm not gonna lie.
So calibrated the dyno at 2,000 RPMs, and this same dyno broke the heart on my bike, and your bike is too.
Yeah,
So,
but I just figured it would have been higher than 60 horsepower, like at least in the 70s, dude.
So when you're actually
111.
yeah, but it's torque right off the line. So
The torque's amazing.
torque's amazing, but like it.
I mean, again, I'm a torque guy. We know that from arguing about our bikes, right?
Yeah.
Like, I believe you feel torque. You don't really get to feel the horsepower the same way. So that's good for feel.
Right.
Feeling like you're getting something out of it,
Yeah.
you know?
So when this was stock and your bike before you had the cams,
Yeah.
I remember you were riding. I was on this one. You're on your bike. Off the line, I keep up with you guys. You guys walked on me every time.
Yeah, for
Every
sure.
time. So one stock 114 versus a 111. Yeah, this thing will push you off the line, but it kind of.
So you really want to do top end work to this then?
Yeah, some
Right.
like some cams would definitely open up that top end.
Yeah,
a ton.
for sure.
We're talking probably like huge gains on that one because I remember Dan's bike. He's getting up in the 90s on horsepower after that.
Oh yeah, Dan's bike's amazing.
But he has a 116 too.
Yeah.
So it's a little
Shout
bit.
out to Dan.
Dan's on. Love you, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get the next one up.
Okay.
Okay, so next up we got Blake's Bone Stock 23 Road Glide ST. So the only thing we've got done to this so far are just slip-ons. So it's a 117. What are we thinking?
You know I'm a believer in Harley, man. I cannot stress that enough. A 117, we got to be up in the 90s. I'm guessing 93, 95 horsepower, 90 torque. You got to be 90, 90 on a road glide. You know what I mean? This is like,
Yeah. I'm going to say probably like 95 horsepower and a little bit closer to 100 on torque.
okay, so we're close to guessing the
Yeah,
same.
so I think because they claim about a little over 100 horsepower from the factory, but you know it's always to the crank, not to the wheel, so you always lose some there. So.
Oh yeah, I forget that they count that. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, so this would be a great baseline for all of the stock 117. So you know, this is where they start at.
Right.
Cool. Let's
All right.
get her going. I'll be honest. I'm impressed.
Yeah. It looked good. I mean, I can't really read numbers that small anymore. I tried to peek at it, see what it was.
Yeah. So, so if you're looking at the graph, that is a straight, flat line.
Yeah.
Harley did a great job on this one.
Right.
So this thing would be a blast to ride. It's super smooth, super predictable. But also, this spun that drum up quick.
Yeah, I did.
A lot quicker than I was expecting. So let's find out what she pulled.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to stick with my original guesses.
All right. Original guesses. All right. So here we are. Ooh. So we're looking at about 116 for torque, and it holds at 116, 117 for torque, and it holds it for 25 to 3,500. Like that is just solid, just torque curve right there. And then horsepower, it's a little bit down on the horsepower side. So we're looking at high 80s, 88, 80, I'd say 88 to 89 horsepower. So, but like the torque is right there. It's consistent. It's solid all the way through, and it just doesn't make that top end power. So it's all between all the power on this thing is made basically between 2,500 and 4,000 RPMs.
I'm really shocked we're not in the 90s on horsepower again, dude. And maybe I'm like the average rider guy that, you know, believes that I'm going to get these bikes and they're going to give me like these great numbers, you know what I mean? And we kind of fantasize about these things, you know what I'm saying? As motorcycle riders, like kind of what we expect to get out of things, or what you would think you would get from spending your money on a beautiful ride like this, you know?
Right.
Torque is, I'm really shocked the torque was that high.
The horsepower is a little bit lackluster, but that torque, that kind of blew me away.
Well, yeah, it's going to pull you in the seat. You're going to feel like you're getting that horsepower because that torque is just ripping, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then when your buddy pulls up, you know, something light, a little lighter, he's just going to smoke you at the end.
Yeah, so this thing will pull off the line like crazy at the top end where it starts to fall off a little bit, but not as bad as you expect.
So if you're going from bar to bar, it's amazing, right?
It's a great bike right out of the box.
Yeah.
So I am not disappointed whatsoever. I want one.
I want one too. I need a raise.
All right. So let's see. We have another Road Glide that we set up that's got a little more work done to it. So we're going to do a little bit of apples to apples comparison here and find out where we're at with that one. Okay. So now we're going to have a good apples to apples because we had our bone stock Road Glide, which is basically just slip-ons, right?
Yep.
Now we got this one. It's been decked out by the guys over at Trash. So they got the intake, the exhaust. It's been tuned. Rumor is it's got a cam too. We haven't been in the engine, so I can't confirm that, but we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So,
you know, this one's near and dear to me.
yeah. So this one's
was my brother's bike, passed away. Rest in peace, Justin. Guys over there did a bunch of work to him, so thank you guys for all of that. You know, I'm a believer in Harley, and I've rode this thing. It's amazing. Now the problem is it's ugly baby syndrome, right? Do I just like believe so much in this bike I'll lie to myself about it? But I'm going to guess, God, this thing was amazing to ride. I'm going to guess it's got to make over 100 horsepower, and I'm guessing like 120 torque.
yeah.
You know?
So this is the bike that actually convinced Bill he needs a Road Glide.
Yes, I never thought I was a Road Glide guy till I rode this to Bike Week.
Yeah.
Amazing bike to ride. Again,
Yeah, so just seat of the pants dyno. It pulls hard all the way through, and it's a blast to ride. So
yeah,
let's see what those numbers are.
yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Tell me she made good numbers.
Okay.
You know?
So clearly it's been tuned because that rev limiter is much higher than stock. We ran it all the way out to like 62, 6,300. They red line at 53 from the factory.
Okay.
So let's run some numbers here. What are you thinking again?
It got to be both of them over 100.
So I know what my lowrider made on the other dynos. We're going to run on this one too. I'm thinking it's probably pretty comparable because this thing pulls pretty hard.
Okay.
I'm going to guess probably close to like the 115 to 120 torque and maybe like 110 to 115 for horsepower. That's my guess.
Okay.
So let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's see here. Torque. So yeah, torque we're right around there. So we're about 119, 120
Ooh.
for torque.
That's nice.
Good torque.
Yeah.
And And then, but the cool thing is, being that the rev limiter is higher, we can pull it out longer and get a few more horsepower out of it. So we're actually just shy of 100 horsepower, so about 98 and a half, 99 horsepower on there.
God, these bikes on horsepower are just like, really? I guess because I fantasize that the horsepower numbers would be so high.
Well,
you know,
you also got to factor in that horsepower is just a derivative of torque
Sure.
times RPM. So horsepower is torque at a certain RPM. So that's why every horsepower and every torque crosses at 5252.
Right.
So if you can't do crazy RPMs, if you're redlining at 5,000, 5,500 RPMs, you're never going to get crazy horsepower unless you got monster torque.
Okay.
That's why, like a diesel, I can have 1,000 foot-pounds of torque and 300 horsepower. But if you have like an R6, you'll have 130 horsepower and 40 foot-pounds of torque.
That's crazy.
Because it'll spin 13,000 RPMs.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, Harleys, all torque, all low end. But yeah,
Still not bad numbers.
No, and it's super smooth graph. This thing's tuned well, and it runs hard, and it's got consistent good power all the way through the torque curve. So I'm impressed with this bike.
Sure. Nice ride. Okay, buddy.
So,
This
she's back.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
For us,
This is my
especially.
personal bike.
Yeah.
So it is a 21 Lowrider S. I've got a little bit of work done to it. So I've got the Star Racing 3030 cam. I've got a bigger intake, bigger throttle body, better plug wires. I've done some drivetrain work and kind of a preparation for more power. So we're going to kind of see what she'll do.
Well, you know, again, we're here to a part for me that means a lot. Me and Mike have been competing with both of our 21 Softails for a bit. Him being the boss, you know, his pocket's a little deeper than mine, so, you know, he did a little bit of nicer stuff than I did. We've debated on what you actually have to do, right? So this is a competition. I'm gonna have to pull my bike around now because he put his on here, so now we have to run both of them.
Okay.
Mine's better. He's got a nice paint job. You know what I mean? So that does, I mean, what is it? Racing stripe, like 5 horsepower?
I think it's
10.
I think it's 3 horsepower per stripe.
Per stripe. Well, so then this thing should be making amazing horsepower, right? No, all jokes aside, we have been building both our bikes and kind of competing with each other on things. So I'm very interested to see. Again, we don't lie about our numbers. You know what I mean? We're not here to like pat anybody's ego, but we are very competitive in everything that we do here at Dean Speed, even with each other. So
yeah. So as when I'm doing the calibration on the dyno, I'm doing it by dyno jet standards, exactly how they do it. So I'm not putting it in the wrong gear to get more numbers. This is what we're getting.
That's right. We're not playing around here.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do everything as accurately as I can. So we got more coming, but yeah, let's see what she'll put down.
Let's see how much better my bike does.
Yeah, bullshit.
All right, Hef, you can't be padding numbers here, all right?
So this is like the 3rd time we've ran this thing.
Yes, because we just, again, you know, what we expect and what we get, if you're really, you know, not putting up the liar sheets like a lot of places do, we kind of, you know, heartbreak a little bit, right? You see these guys out there and they're claiming these crazy numbers, but...
I got a dyno with 110 on a 103.
Yeah,
cam.
115 horsepower with a 88 cubic inch.
Yeah, bullshit.
Okay.
Okay.
So, no pad numbers. What do you got?
No pad numbers. All right, so let's do the torque first.
Okay.
It's climbing. So about 115 is kind of where we're at.
Okay.
115. About on par for what we've been getting, because I think my top number was like 117 or whatever.
Yeah.
On the other sheets.
Yeah.
So we're within. It's basically within tolerance. It's kind of like atmosphere versus this day versus that day. It's 2 degrees.
Humidity, whatever stuff. Yeah.
So all that's within variation.
So
we did wind it out pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So horsepower wise, let's see where we're at. Yeah, about on par. So what we've been getting, about 105 is kind of where I'm at.
105, 115-ish.
Yep, which is
That's
basically
not,
what
that's
we've been
good
getting on the
numbers.
other dynos.
Yep, 100%.
So we know we're getting bullshit there, and if it's consistent, the 3 dynos with very similar numbers on those 3 dynos, we know that that's kind of where the numbers actually are.
No, yeah, you can't have 3 separate people at 3 separate times and 3 separate places get the same numbers. So that's, I mean, how do you figure out if something's consistent? I think that's pretty.
So that's a good.
That's a fair way, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's about as fair as you're gonna get with the
Yeah.
numbers. So
Not bad though.
not as good as I would like it to be.
I wanted 120s, honestly, with the
Yeah.
30-30 cam. You know what I mean?
So the cool thing is, what we got planned is way more coming with this dyno. I'm going to be going to Montana here in a month or so, and we're going to be going to the Dyno Jet Tuning School. And I'm going to be certified on the Dyno Jet Tuning, so that way we'll be able to squeeze out every last bit of horsepower. Well, the flip side of that is, with this bad boy, we will be able to actually test all the theories on intakes, on exhaust, on timing, on what makes power, what don't.
Yep.
And that way we can bust some myths and fuck around and find out what actually works.
That's the idea, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
So last one, we got the Challenger, and see where we get with that guy.
Let's go.
Okay, so next up, we're going to be running the Challenger. This is actually quickly becoming one of my favorite bikes. I actually really enjoy riding this thing. So once we did the carbon fiber on this thing.
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
So this thing made huge weight savings. We were like, what, 40 pounds?
40-ish, I think a little over 40, but we called it 40 to be fair.
Right. So like, if you
try not to fudge numbers.
If you think about it this way, though, like it's a 800 pound bike, right?
Yep.
So 40 pounds off of that is a 5% weight savings. So that's 5% of the bike that we cut off.
A bag of concrete.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It took a bag of concrete off of it.
Oh, you feel it. This thing, like, oh my God, it's such a dream to ride now.
Again, I tell people, if you don't think 40 pounds is that much, pick up a bag of concrete and try to run with it. You know what I mean? It's a big difference, you know?
You could feel it. Like if you put like something in the tour pack or something like that, you feel the difference. So this thing is just super nimble, and you could feel the power a little bit better as well.
Well, I also the power commander that we put on there.
Yeah.
Helped a bit with that, right?
Right. So far on this, all we've done is the power commander. We haven't actually tuned it with the power commander. We just slapped it on there, and it made it better.
Much better. Throttle response, way better.
Right. It immediately better. And then the Dean Speed slip-ons, and that's it. So this thing is pretty damn close to stock. So we're gonna get some actual like out-of-the-box numbers here, or at least really close to it. So.
What are you thinking?
They claim 122 horsepower from the factory, but we all know that's at the crank. So I'm going to guess it's probably, I'm going to say 110 horsepower to the wheels and probably like 115 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, I still think maybe a little higher. I'm thinking not quite 120, 118. And the torque numbers so far from Indian have been great, right? So I'm going to guess probably around the same. Oh, I'm thinking both of them are going to be over 115.
Over 115?
Yep.
Okay.
Not quite how much over, I'm not sure, but from kind of what we've done, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm going to guess 115, over 115 each side.
Okay.
All right?
Let's find out.
All right, my guy, tell me the numbers. You know I care about the numbers, that's all.
So this thing pulls pretty good from the line. I know that from riding it. Let's see here. It's got pretty good torque curve. It's pretty consistent, and it pulls all the way to 62 is where the factory line is. It's pretty high. So let's see here. So we are about 112 on the torque.
Okay.
Right out of the box, which is pretty good. And the horsepower is not too far behind. Hold on, let's see here.
Convergence.
Yeah, so horsepower, we're about 92, 93 horsepower. Right, a little bit disappointing.
Gosh, dude.
So, like I said, whenever they do the horsepower rating, it's always out the crank. So you have all the drivetrain behind that is a bit of a drag. We had to run this one in 4th gear. I did calibrate it for 4th gear because otherwise we were hitting the speed limiter at 110 on the dyno. So like we was cutting out before we would actually read the full RPM range. So we weren't able to run this one as we normally would, but I tried to get as close as we could to the actual numbers. But let's see here. Torque wise, it was pretty solid. So we were at 112, 113 for torque.
Close.
And then horsepower, once again, we were at 92, 93. Not too bad
Yeah.
for bone stock.
Well,
Most
we got
stock.
slip-ons and power command.
Right.
So
I think with the tune,
no cam or nothing.
yeah, no cams, no big bore, no intake.
Right.
I think honestly, if we just did a tune on that power commander, we could probably pick up a few horsepower just out of that as well, because the Indians are pretty reserved right out of the box.
Right.
All in all, though, this thing still rips. I'm not disappointed at all.
No. Well, good job with it.
Weight savings, she's a ripper.
Yep. I'll take.
Cool.
Good job, Doc.
All right, so we got more of this planned for the future. We got a lot more that we're going to be testing out, tuning, trying out. We're going to be tuning bikes here in a little bit as well. So stay tuned and keep that shiny side up. Thanks, guys.